Okay, I'll take that with a pinch of salt. I'll tell you what you're feeling right now. You're feeling, I'm just taking educated guesses here. So I think most of y'all are anxious. You're anxious because you want to know whether this session is worth your time or should you go out for a smoke or a coffee. You all want to really know whether this is worth your time. And why you all are going through these questions in your head is because somewhere deep down, you have love for learning. And you feel that if I sit here, will I learn something new? And I'll tell you, again, another educated guess is that most of y'all developed this love for learning at a very, very young age, right? And most probably at an age when y'all were preschoolers. You all went to a school where you found somebody who was passionate about teaching. You went through the joys of learning new stuff. And that's why you're sitting here, working in this industry, helping other children to develop that love for learning and grow ahead in life. So let me introduce myself. My name is Jitendra Karsan. I'm with Safari Kid. And I run one of the few premium preschools that we have in our country. It's a global preschool chain. We are in US, Canada, India. And we also have some really good speakers today who come from different preschools, some global, some Indian. And all of these guys come with a lot of passion for education. And I'm sure this is going to be worth your time. So I'll just start with a round of introductions. So if you can start from left to right.
Yes. I'm Shilpa, Solanki, and Jitendra, you're quite right that it's quite interesting that the early years have a panel for itself. It's really one of the first that there is an entire panel just dedicated to early years. And while we got the most toughest slot, the hour before lunch, we'll make sure that we do justice to it. I'm hoping there'll be one day that we are in the prime spot at 11 a.m. at a conference. My preschool is called the Harmony Tree. And as the name suggests, we're here to bring in all the coexistence that children deserve. Children deserve, of course, the academic rigor, but they also deserve joy. They deserve the balance and structure, but they also deserve freedom. So in short, what we're really trying to do is provide that environment which is made up of people and material around them to make sure that they have a meaningful, joyful, and I'm using this next word very consciously, unhurried childhood experience. And the seeds that we grow today will last for a lifetime. And really what we give to the society is what you take on. So really we are here in that sort of an ecosystem. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I am Khushboo Singh from Patna, Bihar, and my school is Oakville International. So I started this journey around 4 years back when I moved from Canada. And I realized that most of the schools in Patna were still following a very traditional method of learning, in contrast to something that I witnessed in Canada, a very interactive, loving and happy environment that my child was in. Somehow, I could not believe and I do not want my child to be part of those schools. I wanted a happy environment, a beautiful environment for kids to learn and grow. And that's how I thought I have to bring this difference. In fact, I also saw that there was not a structured daycare for working mothers to return to their work post their childbirth, which is such a necessity when a town is growing. And there was no organized daycares. There were mostly daycares that had, okay, the baby will come, eat and sleep. The child will come, eat and sleep. You keep a maid at home. Rather than that, you can keep at our school. So that was really appealing for me because my child was in one of the daycares in Canada, and I saw the difference it brought in her. How relieved I was to send her to that daycare, and how joyous I was to see the changes in her, and that I felt was missing. And so I began this journey to support the mothers to have a happy childhood in the town, curriculum, I believe, when it comes to preschool, is just one part of it. There's a lot of other skills that we need to work on. This is when we, kind of built a platform for them to grow and learn in a happy environment. Thank you.
I'm Neeropma Bafna. I'm from Aurangabad, Maharashtra. And my passion for education has encouraged me to open the preschool with a difference. I really felt the need of an hour wherein why are we teaching these kind of stories like Cinderella and the fairy tales to the kids? Why not Satyavadi Harishchandra? Why not Shravan Kumar stories? And this is what had made the difference in the preschool education altogether in Aurangabad, Maharashtra. And in the span of 5 years, my preschool, that's Evolver's Nest Preschool in Aurangabad, who the founder I am, has grown from 30 to 300 kids now, and we very soon plan to open the branches and the franchises, and we need to take our Indian culture to the roots of our Indian kids. That's very, very important. Thank you so much.
Hi, it's just so wonderful to be here among such respected and distinguished speakers and my fellow panelists. My journey, I'm Arpita Sur, and my journey was very similar to what Ms. Khushboo was talking about earlier. I used to live in America for a while. My kids grew up there till the age of 4. And then when I came back to India, I was struggling to reconcile the different methodologies of teaching and also to go back to work. It was very difficult because I didn't want to leave my child in a preschool or a daycare where the love for learning and the importance of curriculum was not understood. I lead the Kido India business. Kido is an international preschool and daycare. We are a UK-based preschool chain. We've launched in India last year, and I lead the India business. It's great to be here.
Good afternoon. My name is Sharad, Bhatia. I'll leave you aside for a moment, Jitendra. I'm the odd man out here. That's what they say in more ways than one, because I don't exactly come from a preschool kind of a thing. I'm the founder and CEO of India's first and only accredited online school for nursery to grade 8. We do have a preschool segment because we are working in the N-2 space as well. And we work with the motto of happy students and happy parents, which means precisely we are the home for parents who are looking for something which is besides or different from what traditional schools are doing. So this is what I do. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. I think all of us, what unites us is the passion for education and especially early years, right? We want to bring some changes in the early years. That's why you see a lot of similar stories that, they saw that there was something missing in India. Their personal experience is what got all of us into this space. So what this basically brings us to light is that, is there still enough understanding of preschool space in India? And we definitely feel that, a lot of people don't understand the importance of preschool and early years. So we will start with the first question. I'll ask Ms. Arpita to explain to us what is go as basic as possible, because there seemed to be a lack in understanding why preschool or early years is important.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you, Jitu. It is a very important topic, but is very little understood. I am being very bold to speak amongst, a set of people where the majority of you are in higher education. But it is a biological fact that 90% of brain development is complete by the time a child is 5 years old. In fact, in the first year of a person's life, the brain doubles in size, and most of the emotional neural connections that occur in the brain that help with lifelong learning, all of that pretty much gets completed in the first few years of a child's growth. And that is why it is very important. There are 5 main aspects I will talk about today, which sort of encapsulate a holistic and comprehensive look at what a child is taking in these early years. First, of course, there's the first two, which have been also enshrined in our NCF and our NEP, is literacy and numeracy, right? So literacy, the ability for a child to absorb language skills and to become fluent in as many as 3 to 4 languages by the age of 3 has been seen and has been recorded. We have cases of children who can speak to one person fluently in Hindi, another person going home, speaking to their grandparents in their local language, and then, being able to converse with, school friends in English. And children can seamlessly move from one language to another. And that is the plasticity of the mind at that age, where it is able to be molded so easily and can so easily absorb languages. So that is the first one. And the ability to be multilingual or bilingual at an early age also enables the child at later stages of development to very easily take in higher studies as well. So literacy, and then combined with that, the understanding of quantitative structures, numeracy is very important. We all know that. I think that has been enshrined in our NEP and our, the further, the guidelines that have been put in the NCF, right? But then going forward, there are 3 more that are very important. Well, first is physical development. Without physical development, the brain development doesn't happen, and it is very important at that early stage for a child's physical, motor, fine motor skills, all of that to develop. And then the last 2 that I will talk about, very, very important, is social skills as well as emotional learning, right? Dr. Shroff, in fact, in the earlier session was talking very much about who our children are going to interact with in the future, right? Are they going to be, having the same type of life as us, or are they going to be interacting with AI clones or and so on, right? So they need to be able to very easily sort of switch between working with other humans and working with machines and AI-driven technology, right? What is it that will set them apart will be the stability, the emotional stability that they would have learned at this very early age. And being able to be surrounded by positive influences and being able to get that confidence at an early age is what we want to focus on as part of the comprehensive learning of the child, right? So both emotional, and then of course there's a social aspect where children learn how to have healthy relationships. So it is very important that a child actually goes into an environment where there are other children, where they know how to sort of give and take, where they learn how to resolve, to negotiate in a very stress-free and conflict-free way. So all of these together sort of encapsulate the comprehensive learning aspects that a child has to take in at an early age, so that their brain development that is happening is actually fruitfully used. So that's basically the importance, I would say.
Thank you very much, Ms. Arpita. I think you've sort of given us an overall picture about all the 5 different aspects. I would like to go to Ms. Shilpa, and if she can explain the social and emotional learning in early years in a little bit of depth, with some examples.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Children spend almost a decade plus in their school years, and while we are training them and helping them become doctors and scientists and computer engineers, we sometimes are not able to ensure that they also become responsible human beings contributing to a larger society. A lot of the social emotional development and learning has been unrecognized in the school system, though there is effort. The NEP is talking about it being giving it comparable importance, with the academic competencies. But how much all schools will recognize and take it is really left to individuals and groups. And hence, it's important that we sitting here and all those that we influence understand its importance. Pratham, which works with innovation and learning, conducted a research which was published in January 2020. And in their annual status report, they took on children between 4 to 8 years on various developmental indicators, including social and emotional parameters. They, of course, took cultural diversities, socioeconomic stratas across some 26 districts in 14 languages. So, which means they covered quite a diverse group. One of the activities, for instance, that they conducted, they asked children, a group of children, this question. They asked children that if your friend were to take a toy from you, the only toy you were playing with, how would you respond? 25% children talked about, I will fight, I will snatch it back, and I will not talk to my friend again. Only 2.5% talked about, I will talk to my friend and ask him or her to give my toy back. Now, this is showing a limited understanding of how a conflict can be resolved. Going into saying that the social emotional understanding in children has to then be taught if it's not getting caught naturally. That's what you would really aim for. When we talk about the social emotional learning, there are 3 broad areas that one must look into. One is awareness of self, the emotion awareness. And a lot of us grow into not being aware, partly because our society really doesn't, our homes don't really let us talk a lot about feelings. We try to shun away or hide and run away from expressing, especially the unpleasant feelings. The point is, we feel. We're feeling, at this point, we're feeling. Some of us are feeling hungry. Some of us are feeling stimulated with the, conversation since morning. But we don't have rooms and platforms for talking about feelings. That emotional awareness is crucially important. Being able to tap into how am I feeling? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? What do I do about these feelings is important, and also to be feeling about others. So if a child is able to feel for a friend who's crying, it's showing, the child is showing emotional awareness. So that's one big part of the social emotional development. The other big is the social awareness. How do I interact and how do I respond or react to my environment, which is filled with people? So including your parents and caregivers and peers and teachers and the larger society. In our early years, things like taking turns, waiting for something to be given to you, seeking permission before I take somebody's toys, are all few signs of being socially aware, and it starts there. Apply it to your age groups, apply it to your higher education, and see how many opportunities students are getting to become self-aware and also social interaction. And the last most important component of social emotional learning is self-regulation. The ability to control your impulse in an appropriate fashion is what's really required. And a lot of our mental well-being goes back into people who are not able to regulate emotion. Dr. Shroff threw light upon, how her emotional resilience made her do what she did. And that's the kind of training we need to give our children, to be able to know what to do in what proportion, in what degree is an important one. If someone takes my toy, do I hit? Is that an option? Or what are my options? Can I go to a teacher? Can I go to a parent? Can I have a conversation? So to bring in all these things in the early years, and of course, like I said, tweak it to the age group that you deal with. There are lots of things one can do. In the early years, of course, we have huge treasure of strategies. One of them definitely being through stories, because you talked about practical implementation. Story characters are great to, is a springboard to bring in conversations and dialogues. How do you think, the bears felt when Goldilocks just jumped and ruined their house? One is constantly putting sympathy on Goldilocks because she is lost. But what about the perspective taking from another point of view? Or what about the perspective taking from that big bad wolf? What about his perspective? And if we were to bring these dialogues and conversations, that would be great. Songs lend themselves to, a lot of conversations about emotions. There are lots of social stories now. It's a growing genre where you talk about empathy, you talk about caring, you talk about first day of school, you also talk about loss of a pet or a family member. And those are things that you can bring into classroom. Games become...
Ms. Shilpa, I think you'll have to round it up in another 30
I'll round it off.
Yeah.
Games definitely become a great point. I'm just leaving with 2-3 couple of strategies. Actually, I'll skip those, but I'll talk about the most important that I believe in, that a lot of time we talk about time out. I think it's time we talk about time in. Giving child the attention, giving child the acknowledgement of his or feeling, labeling those emotions and helping the child navigate through that. So let's throw the time out and let's bring in time in. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, but we still have to stick to time, which is allotted to us, so that's why I'm good. So, Ms. Khushboo, if you can speak about the other aspect of early years, which is, the importance of language. Right, how language plays an important a part in the classroom and outside the classroom. There's a huge population of Indians whose first language is now becoming English, right? So parents speak in English, but grandparents speak in their, whatever native language they. And when they come back to school, they are speaking, either English. And now with NEP coming in and, asking to introduce more languages, what has been your experience and how do you see this?
Yeah, so that's a beautiful point to bring up. And yeah, even before I touch that point, I would like to emphasize upon something more and more important than that, because what you are talking is about being multilingual, right? So a child needs to be multilingual, but before that, I believe a child needs to speak, a child needs to communicate, a child needs to talk. The recent phenomena that I have been witnessing, this is a topic that I chose because it's very close to my heart and I needed a platform to talk about it. The reason being that I see a lot of kids, they are so much into their virtual world that they refuse to speak. Or if they speak the language of their shows that they watch. A Cocomelon show, a child in my school speaks in the language of Cocomelon show that you cannot make out. You can just pick some words or phrases from that. And that's the irony, because she's not present in my class. She has no learning disability, just that she doesn't speak to her friends, to her educators, to her caregivers. All she laughs at her own jokes. And this is the new irony. I have a child again. This is like I'm giving you these examples because this is something we are witnessing. And we should be very, very aware as working parents that what are we imparting, because this is our future. The thing that we are missing on, like talking to our kids, they are our future. So what I see, I have a child who knows, who doesn't know how to sit on a chair, who doesn't know how to eat, who doesn't know how to do basic chores like eating, but is very much aware of every detail of a mobile phone and tries to snatch from any of the educators if he sees in their hand. So this is the new irony, or this is a new phenomena that I have seen in the preschool. So first of all, I would like to, so I have also asked my teacher even before that I am trying to make that change in my preschool. Now I do not ask my teachers that start your day with circle time or start your day with this part of curriculum or with numbers, or I tell my teachers, start your day by talking to your kids. How is their day? How was their day yesterday? Who prepared their breakfast? Did they say thank you? normal, how are they feeling? At least how are they feeling? They have nobody to share in the morning, like emotional intelligence or we were talking about. So they do not have folks in their house to ask them, how are they feeling? Are they upset, excited, sad? Like what are they feeling? So moving on to it, I will now emphasize upon why language is so important to kids. So when you still see a like age from birth to until 6 years of age, which is called the foundational years, every stage has a certain prerequisites and certain developmental landmarks. Okay, the child will start speaking, the child will start eating, but language remains a common tool when you see for development across all stages. A baby needs language for neural development. Repeated words in babies helps them in the neural development. Talk to a toddler, you can engage the toddler in activities and you can make them respond to their surroundings. And when you teach language to a child, the world opens for them. They start making choices. They start sharing their needs. They start talking about their friends. They start making friends, first of all, building relation. They start learning and understanding their caregivers or educators. Trust me, folks, none of it is possible without language. So, language is a very profound predictor of health and well-being of a child. Okay, so
Miss Khushboo, another 30 seconds to...
Yeah, sure, I'll wind it up, for sure. So, our grandparents or parents, if you look at it, they were very much probably aware of it because you see, like, they would talk to kids a lot, but they never needed any kind of toys or other gadgets to entertain their grandchild. They always talk to, what happened? Back then it did not make sense to me when my mom was doing with my daughter. But when I researched, when I read about it, now it all falls in place. But with changing family dynamics, busy schedule, do we find time to talk to our kids? So please, a beautifully decorated nursery, the number of toys and the electronic gadgets will not give them the language that we want. So language is very important. Let's give this from one generation to another, because if we limit their words, we limit their world too. So, and then coming back to what he said, I would definitely, that certainly I have seen in India especially, not in other countries because they also talk in their native language, a lot of emphasis on English as a language. But I believe, and I'm very happy that NEP made the changes that was required. We need to make our kids multilingual because once they know their native language, they will understand their culture, they will stand, the diversity of the country will be maintained, and the beauty of a place.
I think we'll stop you at that. I think that was a fantastic point that we do need multilingual kids. Now, you spoke about children going on YouTube and, going on different channels and learning from there. So my next question is to you, ma'am, that how is technology impacting children, especially when we have both set of parents going to work? And I would request you if you can keep it under 3 to 4 minutes, please.
So this is a very question very near to my heart, and I have been seeing these cases in my school as well, wherein both the parents are working, and we cannot ignore the fact that technology the child is not going to use, but it should be with the moderation, it should be with the appropriate guidance as to what the child is seeing. Now, both the parents go out, we talk about the cultural development, we talk about the social development, we talked about the lingual development. How is this going to happen? Both the parents are working. When they come back home, the father is either tired, the mother is busy in the household chores, and the child is left all ignored. Now, the impact of the technology on the child is such as to what Ms. Khushboo said, that one of the child in her school is responding only to the Cocomelon. The same is with my case. The child is not responding to her name. The child is not even looking back towards what ma'am is saying. And then when we got it to the notice of the parent, and then all the tests were being done, the child is only responding to the Cocomelon song. Can you believe this? And this is what it is happening. we as educators, we really need to focus attention that the early 7 to 8 years, the brain is developing at the utmost experience. So in this case, what is happening is when there is so many neurons developing and we are exposing our kids to the technology, where are we heading towards? So it is my urge to all the preschoolers that a lot of preschoolers, they are doing they're showing a lot of stories on the TV, they're showing a lot of stories on the projector, and then they feel that yes, but believe me, in our school, the Evolvers Nest Preschool, none of the stories are being shown on the television or on the projector. Even the Chandrayaan, we have made the whole Chandrayaan and we have taken it up through the wall of our building, and the kids, the play group child could also explain it to their parent ki rocket upar gaya tha moon pe, and it went on to the moon, and the Pragyan, landed on the south pole of the moon, and that was fantastic. What we teachers can do a change, we preschoolers can do a change by talking to the parent and to educate them as to why a big no to the technology, a big no. I will say a big no to the phones, to the mobile. Whenever any guest comes at home, what do? We give the phone to our child and we are happy conversating with our friends. And we just forget that we are, ignoring our child. And we don't even look into what a child is looking into. A small child will look into the Coco Melon songs, and a big teenager will look into what, as Mrs. Shroff, Dr. Shroff also said. And then would we have the control over our kids of what they are looking into their phone and what they are looking into their mobile? Can you say no to them, or can I say no to them? So we really have to not introduce the gadgets to them, but yes, if at all there is a need, because there's a nuclear families are there, it has to be with the appropriate guidance and with the proper moderation. Thank you so much.
I think very well said. Now moving from, we've got a lot of examples of one end of the spectrum where technology was actually harming children, right? But technology also does a lot of good, right? So let's not make technology a villain. We are all sitting here talking through a microphone. People are listening to us. So technology is essential. It's just, as you rightly pointed out, how are we going to...
Proper moderation and the guidance. That's
exactly what I'm trying to bring. That how do we moderate this technology to our own use? And that's where we have Mr. Sharad Bhatia. And he's going to speak about... So the question is that how do you think that technology can bring in this qualitative and quantitative assessment of children, how they are progressing, and since you run a tech company, how tech can help them further and take the school education a step forward?
It's always difficult to speak after 4 accomplished women have, and more so when you are so close to lunchtime. But I'll keep it very short and simple in the real sense of it. Quickly, why is technology important? 1, because we don't have a choice. 2, it gives us scalability. And 3, it reduces the error count. As simple as that. That is where we bring in technology. Well, the kind of technology that we have right now, the one we are using, what am I doing? Is it different from what most traditional schools are doing, with all due respect to whatever anybody is doing? The answer to that is yes or no. Both. Most traditional schools, or we've overheard about the use of technology inside the classrooms. I'm not doing that. I'm actually using technology to create classrooms, which typically means that can I go out to a preschool and tell them, okay, by the way, you have the wherewithal, the brand, the ethos to become a school from, let's say, 50 students to 50,000 students within span of 10 years. Do you have the power and the technology to reach more and more students, create that kind of scalability? The answer to that is with me. So this is what I'm doing. Qualitatively and quantitatively, yes, there are many points which I can elaborate upon, but I'll keep it very short and simple. I'll pick up one from either one. One of the things that we saw while we were growing up was it was difficult to measure the engagement. Qualitatively, it is very difficult to measure the engagement of a child across a particular topic. The answer to that comes from technology. What we've built in our own LMS at this point in time can actually, using many factors such as body movements, rapid eye movement, whether the child is completely aware, what is the span of eyes. We have captured the engagement of the child across a particular topic. How can we do it? We can do it because, as you mentioned, children have a very short attention span at this point in time. I mean, if a father is sitting on Instagram at 11 o'clock at night and on the bed, how can he or she actually tell his child not to look at Facebook or YouTube or whatever? So children have a very limited attention span. We are building micro lectures, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, getting all the information inside it, and then measuring if children are more engaged to it or not. Because right now, we come from, now we are in a generation, we literally paralyze our thumbs flipping reels and stories on Instagram and Facebook. But anyways, it is what it is. I'm not blaming anybody. On the quantitative side, there is something that we can do, which most of us have felt the need to at some point in time, even when we were growing up. When we were inside the classrooms, and this is with all due respect to whatever we have done from our childhood, whatever we are doing inside the physical classrooms, we only have a limited span of time, let's say 40 minutes to finish a chapter. The teacher comes, takes attendance, spends 5 minutes, looks at the homework for the next 5-7 minutes. We don't have time to go ahead and look at so we have a clock running against us like it is doing at this point in time, always. Can I give a personalized experience to each and every child? Which means if you want to go through a particular topic of, let's say, phonics 5 or 6 times more than any other child, can technology do it? The answer to that is yes. So what we call the completion rates of a particular topic is not easily achievable across physical classrooms, and that is where we can achieve it in the early years using technology. So one of those, engagement being a qualitative, and completion of a particular task, the completion rate of a particular task across a group of students being the quantitative one. So this is how we can bring a difference. There are many other ways in which we can do it. We can have analytics around it, which we are doing at this point in time. We can see how much a particular teacher is making an impact across a particular group of students. All of that can be put into technology, and we are doing it at this point in time. But I just mentioned a couple of them so that everybody has a very pinpointed idea of what I want to speak about. Thank you.
I think that was really insightful, Sharad. I'm a big fan of technology. I feel that tech in the future. So let me give you one more real life example. When we were growing up, when we were growing up, I'm slightly older, so not the younger guys, but people from my generation, we were definitely getting whacked at school. Do you all agree with me? About 35 years ago. And most of the reason we used to get whacked is because our handwriting was not legible. The teachers couldn't read what we were writing. Now in today's day and age, are we writing anything on paper with a pen? Now, if this is how today looks like, then what is going to happen in future? A lot of people were emphasizing a lot on reading today, right? But I have a teenage daughter and I speak to a lot of teenagers. None of them are reading. Most of them are listening to podcasts, right? If they are really serious about education. So where is reading going to go? And are books the future? Is podcast the future? Anyways, I think we'll always need a good mix of traditional education, and we will need a good mix of technology. And foundation years is extremely important because this is where we see the trend, which then the primary school educationalists see, and then probably college and postgrad. Lockdown has had such a huge impact on children learning. I don't know what is the experience of first graders, people who teach first graders, but last year to this year, and I'm just quoting empirical research, the number of students with learning disabilities, with social emotional issues, is gone threefold in some centers that we are seeing, right? Threefold is a big number. Every year our population grows by 1%. We are 1.3 billion, I think 1.4 billion people. We've overtaken China. So we are producing about 1.4 crore children every year. 2 years of lockdown. This was the only sector which was abandoned by everybody, left, right, and center, was preschool. Nobody took preschool seriously. Parents were not sending children to preschool, and the impact of which we are already seeing. So, of course, we are from the preschool industry, so we are very passionate, and we can go on speaking about how preschool is very important. But you, as educators who are in in K-12 school, I'm sure you have also felt the impact of early years absent for 2 years and the sort of challenges you are facing in teaching children social emotional learning or creativity or language or numeracy. So thank you very much for listening to us. I know you are hungry for knowledge, but I'm sure by now you're also hungry for food. So thank you very much. And I would also like to thank Business World for this opportunity. Thank you to my panelists.
Thank you so much. Thank you.